Going live, and I'll wait till it goes live and then I'll start. I just check on YouTube here. Going live, and I'll wait till it goes live and then I'll start. Yay! All right, let's see. Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Hello Crafty Friends podcast. Today I'm joined by Susan Edwards. Susan is a Silver Elite Demonstrator, an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator with Stampin' Up. She joined in 2019, and prior to that, she was already a paper crafter, a crafter of all kinds, for 35 years. She lives in Aiken, South Carolina, with her husband of 42 years and her youngest son. Susan loves stamping, scrapbooking, and watercoloring. She's passionate about helping her friends and her customers develop skills and confidence so that they can create projects that they want to make. Susan enjoys teaching and inspiring others to love crafting as much as she does, and we're going to be discussing today making and selling crafts, how to organize crafting events, and what it's like to do something that truly lights you up and to follow your passion, because that's exactly what Susan does as she shares her gifts with the world. Welcome to my podcast, Susan.
Hi, Kim. Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Well, I'm excited, and I am streaming this live on YouTube. So for the benefit of that, we may have some questions that come through in the live stream. So if we do, I will, let you know what those questions are. So feel free. I see a couple ladies here already. Feel free to ask us some questions. Now, I want to start with, what were you like as a little girl? And how did
Ironically, anyone who knows me now knows that I will talk to anyone about anything. I am more extroverted than introverted, and I just kind of go with the flow for things. As a little girl, I was enormously shy. If I were in a room full of people, I had to be touching my mother or I wasn't going to walk through that room. My father's family is very large. I mean, he's one of 12 children. So I had a zillion cousins and aunts and uncles, and my mother told me I would freak out when we went to the big family events. I now love those big family events and seeing all my family. But as a child, I was so introverted and shy that I found those things very overwhelming. I was always artsy in a family of athletes. So that was kind of torturous and fun. They would ask me
seems like you started at a young age with your creativity.
So yes, they would ask me to play softball, and I'd be like, okay.
I just want to draw. I just want to draw.
I just want to draw and play with my Barbies.
So when did this creativity blossom into all of your crafting hobbies like scrapbooking and watercoloring?
Okay. I started painting in high school, and it was more of oils. And then, as I became an adult, I continued to watercolor in college. And then after college, I married and I continued watercoloring. I started quilting. I did other fiber arts. And then when I had children and I was home a lot, I went back to watercoloring. We went to the Olympics in 96, I think, as a family. Yep, it was the 96 Olympics. And I had a friend who in the next year or so went into creative memories. And she was going to teach us all how to scrapbook. So it was come to my house, bring a selection of pictures about the same event, and we will do this. And so I took my Olympic pictures there. And that was the beginning of scrapbooking for me. I have since scrapbooked all three of my children's entire lives through college, from infancy through college, and it just grew. It like grew exponentially from that point.
Well, I'm sure they treasure those memories that you've been keeping for them. And I also went to the Atlanta Olympics, and it was like epic, and I don't have a scrapbook from it, but the memories are up here. So great, so great. Now, when did you, I used to use creative memories as well, all those fun things. When did you move your talents into creating sort of 3D paper crafts, which you're really specialized in now?
Hmm. I used, can I say, an electric die cutting
You can use,
machine.
yeah, say whatever you want. We're crafters.
Okay, I
Yes,
used a
you can use,
Cricut for a
of
really long
course,
time,
say whatever
and
you
I
want.
had a rather lucrative relationship with ProvoCraft. I
Okay.
was one of their sponsored bloggers, and I like that. But then after a while, I was burning out. But I started using their products to make 3D projects, and before they came out with their current software, I
Design
could use
this
their
year.
old software using shapes to build my own items. And way back in high school, I had this ability, I was in an art class. I had this ability to look at something and see the shape of it and understand how to build that outline shape. So we had to do something where we were doing just partial drawings of a person. It was like a silhouette. And then I had a person who was standing by a window with her hand on the frame. People could tell who it was just by the few lines I added because that looks so much like her with no face details or anything. So that really benefited me with the Cricut old software. So I put
I
out,
love that. I love that. That really does help knowing how to make 3D items without having software. Because then you
yes,
can use that with now you can use it with your scoreboard and just
right.
do the same thing, but without the software. And that's really useful. So you were doing this 3D crafting. And when did you start selling those crafts that you were making?
I didn't do my first paper crafting craft show until December of 2019. I joined um, Stamping Up as a demonstrator in March of 2019, which is a story unto itself, but we're going to skip over that and just say I'm coming up on my 5-year anniversary.
Hey, that's great.
And that first year, it was a hobby for me. But I decided that the only way I was going to reach beyond my group of friends, my core group of friends who fortunately were also paper crafters, um, was to do this craft show and meet some additional people. So that was the first time I decided to sell my 3D items.
Well, that's just one of the many benefits of going to craft fairs is the meeting the new people. And I know that you use, I'm sure, a lot of the products that from Stampin' Up in those fairs.
Yes.
And also, and you also make some things that don't use any paper at all. So I want to transition into the craft fair itself and because I saw your epic like overview videos and all you had in this gigantic booth, like how long in advance do you need to prepare? What are some steps others can take to get stuff done way ahead of time, even now, starting to get ready for next year's craft fairs at the holiday season?
Okay. The first year I started maybe in September, and the show I do is always the first weekend in December, the first Friday and Saturday in December. It's the only one I do. It's in my hometown, and it's big enough that I only have to do one.
Right.
Um, I start with a Pinterest board, and I look and collect ideas of things I like that are out on Pinterest. But when I say I like something on Pinterest, it could look like, okay, my neighbor brought me this the other day to show me something she makes.
Okay, you're holding up a mini coffee cup and a coffee cup stand. Awesome.
Yes, but I have used the mini coffee cups and not exactly the stand and filled them with coffee beans or chocolate covered coffee beans, and they were a huge hit.
That can
But
get expensive, right?
oh, you measure and you weigh.
Right, right.
Okay, so when I see something on Pinterest, I don't necessarily make it like it is on Pinterest. It gives me an idea to spin off, and I call that Susanizing it. Make it my own. and
Good.
take ownership of it because I've completely redesigned it. My die cutting assistant always laughs because when she helps me prepare for a larger event, she will look at something and go, I don't know how you got this idea. So I'll go get her like a picture of something I saw. And she's like, that looks nothing like this. I'm like, yeah, but they have these little flags on it. Mine has little flags.
Right. Well, that's great because it just takes one spark of an idea. You look at
Exactly.
something and then you get sparked up and you're like, oh,
Okay.
I could do
So
it.
the first thing I would do was I would collect ideas. And I also collected ideas for setups, craft show setups. I had two different Pinterest boards. My setup looks nothing like those Pinterest boards, but again, it gave me ideas. The second thing I do is I make a list of things I think I might like to make. And I prioritize that list on what I really want to make and what I will make if I get to it. So this year's list, I had 4 items that I was looking forward to making, but I ran out of time because this year I did not start as early as I should have. You should start, oh, I want to say at least 3 months out. This year, as in the coming year, I plan to devote 1 weekend a month. I always say I'm going to start earlier and work on it all year, and I don't. So my plan for this year is I'm setting that from a general, oh, I'll start earlier, to a specific, I'm devoting 1 weekend a month to preparing for the craft show in December.
Excellent.
And I will craft items that one weekend and put them aside and move on. And then the next month, the same thing. This year, I made about 30 new items. And when I say 30 new items, I made 70 of one of those items. I made 24 of one of those items, but it was 70 ideas of things to use in the craft show.
I was watching your video in between and you said I need to you're showing the next day. I needed to make more of these last night. And I ran out of these yesterday on day one. So this is no
Yes,
small craft fair. There are probably hundreds of people there or
there are
more.
hundreds of people there. And a little tip is if you do the same craft fair year after year, people look for you. I had a family come up to me and they said, third year in a row, we bought our teacher gifts from you. I have a couple of women who do their Christmas table favors. They need something, just a little favor to go behind, to go in their place settings for their Christmas table. And they come to me every single year. Um, I have a lady who has a bridge club, and when she hosts in December, she likes to have a little gift at each place setting or at each place, on the card tables. And so she comes and purchases, 16 of something from me.
That's excellent. I had actually more, or not more, but almost as many sales after the craft fair from orders or from people coming. They knew, but they only knew I was taking orders because I had stuff from the craft fair. And they would
Right.
say, do you have any more of XYZ? So does that happen to you too, where you get some orders
Yes.
or do you have more of XYZ? I can come get it.
Yes. I had a couple of those. And then when I said I had to come home the first night and craft more of my triangular stick snowmen, it was
Right.
because somebody came in and said, can you make more of these? And those were easy enough that I could whip out another 20 that night. But if it had been anything really complicated, no, I couldn't have because I was tired that night.
I'm sure just from loading and unloading.
Well, we set up in my show, we set up on Thursday and then we're open all day Friday and all day Saturday. And then they give you an hour to get out of there.
That's kind of manic.
It's manic, but let me tell you, we have got this down to an art. We're usually out of there in a half an hour.
So who's helping you with this craft fair? Who's the we? What?
Oh, the we is my husband, Doug. My
Yes,
trophy husband.
I love Doug. So let's talk about Doug and what he did in our South Carolina Aiken event.
We had a 35 for
Yeah,
35 event in Aiken. We had a tea to celebrate 35 years of Stamping Up. And I was sort of the unofficial caterer.
you were the caterer. You were
I was
excellent
the
at that.
caterer.
Yeah, you just
My
took over catering,
daughter
and you
and my
had such beautiful
daughter-in-law,
food.
thanks. My daughter and my daughter-in-law were going to come and help. My daughter-in-law ended up moving during that time. She and my son moved to another state, much to my unhappiness, because they lived literally around the corner in our neighborhood.
Oh, yes.
Crazy son took a job elsewhere. Um, and my daughter was ill. So Doug was like, I'll come. So he shows up. He's wearing a shirt, a vest, very nice slacks, a little bow tie with his little round glasses.
He
Kim
was,
thought he was the caterer.
I went up to him thinking he was the caterer. He was
Yeah,
the caterer, but I thought you hired him to be the caterer.
yeah, he was amazing. He bussed tables. He helped me set up in the kitchen. He washed all the dishes, people. I mean, who does that? He did, he helped unload, he helped reload. He did everything he could do that day to make this a success for us. I think the only person not part of the group that worked as hard was Brian Pilling from Stamping Up.
Right. He was excellent.
He
He just
was.
came to like observe and ended up being like the best helper ever.
Okay,
And
Doug is awesome with my little business. He does not want to go online with me, though I'm pushing him that we need to do this together. I just kind of plant little seeds. And most recently, he said, well, I might be able to do that. So, yay. Nagging
he'd
really
be a
does.
big hit. He'd be a big hit. He'd be a very entertaining. And also, even if you can get him started with, like right now, it'd be so nice to have someone just watching the comments here. And if there are any questions, they could be
Right,
like, I have a question from, like I see Linda's there, like they could tell us when there are questions. Like an extra
right.
assistant is always useful. And my husband helps by just driving to the post office with all my packages, which is a great help.
It is a great
but
help.
but
Yeah.
any little things, but I don't see him ever helping with the social media aspect
Well,
of
Doug
it.
does not craft, but I will tell you, he has a really good eye. He will come in, and if I have a dilemma, I'll be like, ribbon A or ribbon B? And he's like, yeah, I really like ribbon B. I like how and he will describe what it does, that it's better.
Then
And
that's important to have an extra set of eyes on our
he's
craft.
wonderful with that. He is so supportive about moving things. When I have groups here, if I have a stamp camp at my house, he has been known at the end of a trying stamp camp to make margaritas for my attendees.
Well, what a guy.
And
I
they
want to come to
refer
your
to
stamp camp.
Susan's fabulous cookies and Doug's margaritas.
You should use this in your marketing materials.
I have. I
Okay,
have.
well, I was gonna say that that would be great.
Well,
I want
Doug
to
also likes to go to the craft fair with me to get back on topic. He likes to go
Yes,
to the
I want to
craft.
ask you about the pack. You said you packed in an hour, and then I want to go back to like what were your sellers. But like you told me about you had the system, and we left there. You can get packed up in an hour. Now it takes me several hours to unpack or to pack up. So like I want to know how you packed in an hour.
Okay. What I do is the second afternoon, I have a good idea of what's still selling. Uh, this time, the second afternoon was just, crazy. I had a completely empty table and almost a second empty table
Wow.
out of three tables, and then I have this double ladder, like market stand type thing, and I had out of eight baskets or eight shelves in that market stand, only two of them still had things in it. So what I did was I positioned my containers for packing up under the tables near where I would need them. My card holder is this huge wooden card sorter that came from Stamp and Storage. It's their large size card storage or card holder. It's worth it for craft fairs. I sort the cards by categories, and then I have cardstock standing up behind them where they're labeled sympathy, birthday, congratulations, get well, Christmas,
I
Christmas, Christmas, Christmas.
I saw that you sold a lot of cards. You were
I
showing us
do.
you sold a lot of cards.
And I have a couple of customers who come specifically for my cards. And usually this one gets there absolutely first thing, and she has $100 to spend on cards. And so I always give her a deal. Anyway, in packing up, I make it so that as I'm pulling things out to pack what's on top of the table, first thing we've done is whipped off some tablecloths, and Doug is breaking down those tables and breaking down anything, oh, like my checkout stand. he breaks down my checkout stand. He's starting to load the van with all the big things. That pop-up market thing I empty first. And then it closes up and you
And it's
tie
a
it.
ladder. Yeah, it's like a
Right.
ladder.
Yeah, you flip up. It closes like a ladder, and then you flip up the baskets that are, the wooden baskets. So he takes that out. And the other thing we've done is we've positioned our car or the van right by the door. Just as soon as it's time to move vehicles because they block where you can load. But one of us is always able to run out and get our van right there at the front. So
Good.
we get this all loaded. And by the time he's packed the big stuff, we also use a little flatbed mover. By the time he's got the big stuff, I've got all the little stuff packed. And then empty boxes, we can break down the empty boxes and put them right in the recycle bin there at the facility where
That's
we've
great.
sold
Well,
out.
I could see your joy in doing this. Like some people go, oh, I got to break down the craft fair, or I have to load and unload. You seem to just be joyous about the whole process. And what is like your most favorite thing about doing these craft fairs?
It's meeting all of the people. I started to rearrange my booth differently this year where my checkout would have been in the back. And I'm always next to the same couple of crafters, and they both looked at me and said, "You're not going to like it back there. You like to be out here on the edge talking to people." And I realized they were right. So I quickly moved it back to normal.
Good.
I like meeting all of the people. I like being able to help the customers find what they're looking for. If they're looking for teacher gifts, if they're looking for something for their coworkers, just something to go on each desk that's not a big investment. And those are the things I specialize in for the craft fair.
Well, that's excellent. So you already know ahead of time. Did you know this the first year, or you just knew by the second year what they were looking for? Or
The
did you just
second year, the
automatically
other
have
thing,
stuff they were looking for?
yeah, it was the first year I didn't know. The first year I just made whatever I liked and did luckily very well. And it's really funny. There are always things that I think will be big sellers that are not. And I don't understand how I'm so off on this, but I always think they're going to do great and they just don't. This year I
Okay,
had,
what was that one item this year that you thought was going to be a good seller and it was not?
it was my Santa cams. I bought little camera lenses and I put them on ornaments that said Santa cam.
I thought that's a cute idea. Yeah.
They were super cute and people looked, and this is my point about what doesn't sell and what does sell. These brought in so much attention. People will look at them and touch them and laugh, and then they want to see what else I have.
Well, hey, it worked for that reason then. So
My
even when
first
something's not
year,
your best seller, it works to bring people to your booth, and that's a good thing.
my first year, I had Stampin' Up had some little cups, little low cups, and I took one over to my local hobby store and I figured out what size ornament fit on that. And I bought ornaments and I turned those into snow globes
Nice.
because we had a really cute snowman that year. And so I made little scenes and I put styrofoam in it, and then the bottom had candy. And they were front and center on my ladder thing. A zillion people stopped and looked and touched, but I still came home with about three or four. But they stopped, they looked, and they touched, and then they were like, what else does she have? So
Right.
there are things that I think are going to sell really well, but what they are is attention getters.
Well,
And
we all need attention getters. And for me, it's my cards. They don't sell well, except afterwards I sold cards because people came and looked at my cards. But during it, they just go, oh, nice cards. And then they go, woo, candy, candy, gifts,
yes,
gifts. Like they at that time of year, they were trying to buy things for other people. So they were like, gifts.
okay. The other thing I've become cognizant of is that I need man gifts because it's so easy to do women gifts or teen gifts or kid
True.
gifts, but I need man gifts. So one of my sellers is man soap. And I go to
This is funny.
Bath
I gotta
and
hear this.
Body Works when they have their soaps on sale, and they have this whiskey and coffee scented soap.
Nice.
And I package those using some of our stamps, like the Brewed for You stamp,
Love it.
and just really fun male oriented stamps. And people are like, oh, man soap.
I just love that. So it's a bar of soap. Or liquid. It's a
It's a
bar.
bar of soap.
That makes it even better. It's a bar, and then
Yes.
you could do those cute wraps, like the
Yep.
paper wraps around it.
Yeah. Okay. My other man
And
gift this
soap.
year, which was a total experiment, and I had no idea if this would sell or not. I found these jumbo. I do not eat Slim Jim, so I had no idea. They come in like this huge,
Yeah,
long
foot
thing
long or even longer. Yeah.
that are like 14 inches long and, big around. So I bought a big box of 18 of those. And then I'm looking at how on earth am I going to wrap these or package these? So I found out I had no idea because not a Slim Jim eater. Those are very flexible. So I
Right.
folded them in half and made boxes that were way too cute to hold a Slim Jim, but they all sold out because people loved the idea. Because
I think that's cute.
I build that as man gift.
Hey, this is good to know for those that want to sell crafts to make some gifts for men.
Yeah, and
I did gifts which mostly were women and then some doggies. I didn't do
yes,
things for men in mine.
dog treats always sell really well. Um, oh, what else was like? Oh, moon pies. If you can make a really cute package for moon pies, they either sell great or they're an attention getter.
Exactly, because well, they're big and bulky, and that's a nice thing. So,
Right.
what were your bestsellers this year, and how has that changed from the previous couple of years?
Mm. This year, my biggest sellers was almost everything, but I had 70 little tiny treat boxes that were based on Julie DiMatteo, the paper pixie. They were based on her Thanksgiving table favor box. I did those and I sold all 70 and I was just amazed.
And yours were
Um,
Christmas patterns,
Mine were all
or
Christmassy. I even did some with the Merry and Bright and did the light bulbs, the Christmas bulbs on the front of them, and all Christmas papers. And yeah, I used a retired set that had little ornaments and I cut those in gold foil and I literally had a couple of people fighting over them. If you don't want that one, I want that one. I really like the gold. Yeah, if you want to take a different one, I would love that one.
gotta love a good craft fair fight.
It was. And I did these snowman sticks, and all they were is 5.5 inch cardstock, scored every inch. Well, they were 5.5 by 3.5. So when you rolled them up, you had a half of an inch to overlap for the glue. And so they were triangular. But I stamped snowman faces on them, and I had found these little tiny knitted caps because I saw these on a stamp craft fair site and people were punching hats or cutting paper hats. And I found these teeny tiny little things that were like 2 cents each.
Wow, that's nice. My mom
Yep.
makes me tiny hats for my Mentos candy, tiny
Yes.
little fabric hats. So I'm wondering if yours were like yarn. Mine were fabric.
Yeah, mine were yarn. They were little knitted
Nice.
hats with
Two
a little
cents. That's
ball on top. They look like, what you would have worn if you were going snow skiing.
oh my goodness, that's adorable.
Yep. And so I put those and then I just tied some ribbon around them and that became like their little bow tie. I took, I can't remember, 40 the first day or 50. I took 50 the first day and they sold out very early. And that was what I had to come home and make more of because people were coming back for them the next day.
Okay, we're all copying this one for next year. So let's
Yes.
get some pictures. I mean, I'm gonna be sending everyone to your site in the show notes, and we're gonna maybe see some pictures of those. And
I'm going to have
they're
to
probably in your
remake
video.
them.
They're in your video of your overview, right?
Yeah, girlfriend, I'm going to have to make more of them in order to share.
Oh, because
It's
you don't even have one to share, huh?
I don't even have one left to share. It was crazy. I learned a couple of years ago, people will ask me if I make really fun boxes. They will ask me, can I get that without the candy in it? Or can I get that without the filler? And so, 2 or 3 years ago, I started doing empty boxes, just one set of empty boxes. Sometimes they sell, sometimes they don't, but it actually turns out okay when they don't, because the aforementioned Doug takes things in for his coworkers. So if we're making homemade cookies, he will use my boxes to package.
That's perfect. My husband takes things in for teachers. I don't really have
Right.
to. any craft fair items left over from between
Exactly. Doug,
mystery boxes, teacher gifts. I have a few left from just my last series, but there's, yeah, all my gifts get put to good use. Waitresses
right.
and
Mine
random acts
too.
of kindness.
So I did this box. It's a basic box with non-Stampin' Up ribbon because I needed it to match. And I loved this ornament. I thought this die set was fabulous. Anyway, I did these with
So
lots of
cute. So you're
different,
holding up a pink ribbon with a nice ornament. This is your empty box you're holding up.
right.
Just for the audio listeners of this podcast, I have to like
Okay, so I'm holding up this box with a really pretty or a die cut ornament on the front. I made these with several different solids or print lids, coordinated the ornaments with whatever paper I was using, and of course the ribbon with whatever paper I was using. And I sold a couple for men, and then I sold a few for women. And those that came home will not go to waste because they will become part of Doug's gift giving at work.
Awesome. So nothing goes to waste too. I feel the same way about nothing going to waste in it.
Okay, now my friend Kim Smith does these cute little
Mm.
folds where it's like two little pockets on each side, and you use a 6x6 paper. What are
Yeah,
those actually
I call
called?
them the stand-up double fold. Do you get them to stand up? Stand-up
Yes.
double fold tree pouch is how I modified them. I
Okay,
originally got them without standing up. Do you stand them up or do you just?
I stood them up.
Okay, yeah,
And
that's the way I modified them too.
one of my standard things that people come looking for, and I didn't know these were so popular until the first year, York peppermint patties. So I
Nice.
put those in there because they fit perfectly. In the past, I've done York peppermint patty characters where I had like the heads of snowmen or the heads of elves or the head of Santa. Well, the little double pocket stand up are way easier than making all of those heads. And, you just stamp on something super cute. Lots of cute paper was used. And I went through all of those.
Well, good for you. That's why you hardly have anything left to show us because all of these bestsellers are gone.
They
And
are.
even if they're not gone, you're not worried about it, either am I, because we give them out to other people,
Right.
husbands and coworkers, or just random acts of kindness or in your care packages. I'm sure you
Right.
could use them at your events. So to me, and if there's anything you can make, like get started on this year that would lay flat, or something you could break down later and lay it flat, then you have nothing ventured, nothing lost. You
Right.
lay
Okay.
it
So
flat and
my
use it the next year.
example is those little holiday boxes that, the little table favor boxes. I'm sorry, we're getting packages delivered and my ring keeps going off beside me.
That's okay. I thought you had a ghost. I actually thought I was like, I saw something fly by. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, we have a ghost in our, no, we don't. Although we might. My mother did pass away in this house, so and
A
when things are
friendly ghost.
yeah, when things were going bad one day and I was trying to get ready for something and things just kept interfering and finally I was like, Mom, knock it off. I'm busy. And then it stopped and things went normal. So she may be here.
Wow. Now this has taken the whole different turn for
Different
this
turn,
Hello
yeah.
Crafty Friends podcast.
All right, so where was I with?
Haunted craft rooms
No,
of
before
the
that.
South. We can have a series. All right.
That's right.
Anyway, go ahead. We were talking about what to do with the flat. You were flatten your
Oh,
boxes.
yes. Okay, so Julie made, she designed those boxes and she actually said, and they can be stored flat until you need them. And she's right, they can
Okay.
because I made them way early and filled them, sometime after Thanksgiving. And that was really nice.
And that's what I do with these. Like I make these and just don't. These are my bags, and then use retired paper. But you could just. I've already adhered the bottom. But you don't have to adhere the bottom, and they all store flat.
Right.
But like say these nuggets that I'm holding up, we give all these away because they're all set up with the candy.
All right, I need 1 second.
Candy will not last. That's okay. Sure.
Yeah, and I've
Well,
also
I will
been
go see. I'm going to go see who's watching, and since you need a second, I'm going to go see if there are any
okay.
questions. This is why we have fun live streaming. There are a bunch of people online watching. Says like 18 are watching. So we'll say, I'll give a shout out to those. And if you have any questions, let us know. I'm here with Susan Edwards, busy with the quickie, and we're going to find out how she came up with that name in just a minute. But we have Dawn here, Dawn Hutchins, Sherry Wilker, Laura Steiner, Linda from Stamp Cut and Create, and Janet is here, and Tina. And there are more that just never write a comment, but we can see you. Little eyeballs are there.
They're lurking. They're
Yeah, they
lurking.
lurk. That's what happens.
Yes.
So
Okay.
how
So
did
then
you come up with the name Busy with the Cricky?
okay, busy with the cricky. Remember when I said I had this lucrative relationship with Provocraft?
Right. And I love them too. I love that cricket. I mean, I love
I
that
did.
machine.
I loved my Cricut.
Yeah,
Um,
I had four or five of them.
yeah,
Mhm.
I would go to I went to CHA, the Craft and Hobby Association annual convention. And the year they came out with that $600 Imagine machine,
Okay.
they gifted me one for free.
Nice.
It was super nice. And I used to design online for another company. And I would write articles and take pictures, and they retained ownership of my items, but I also posted them on my blog, and they all used Cricut cartridges and whatever. Anyway, so I needed a blog, and I was busy with the Cricut at that point, but I didn't want to actually say Cricut.
Because of copyright or whatever. Yeah.
Right. So I became busy with the Cricky.
Trademark. Nice. Busy with the Cricky. Okay. Like, so your Cricky is your like shortened
Right.
nickname for
So for the
Cricut
longest
machine.
time, I did that, and I had I had so many blog followers that when I stopped with Cricut, I didn't want to give up my blog, and I didn't want to just change names because that would, that so many people identified. It's like we know you are the paper chef, and so many people know you are the paper chef. So I kept my busy with the Cricky name, but now my blog just says, I think it says Susan Edwards, but somewhere little it'll say busy with the Cricky.
Right. It's so hard to build your brand at first because it's like with my name, you search for it and you get something else. But it took years, and now you search for me and you actually get my stuff. But I didn't give up, and so many people, even coaches of mine, what does that mean? You need to change your name. I mean, some very famous, like very like high level people are like, you need to change your name. And I'm like, no, like I'm not listening to you with my brand name. No,
I
like it
had the
took too
same
long to build
thing.
my brand. I'm not changing my name. I'm the papered chef. Like,
Yep.
bite me. I'm not changing my name. You have to stand for something. You have to
I
like,
had that
if it
same
takes a long
thing.
time to build a brand, you have to like go with it once it's understood, I think.
Right. And I probably should have changed my name when I started with Stamping Up, but I didn't want to give up my 3,000 blog followers and confuse them.
Right.
So I stayed.
And
And when I started doing a newsletter, I took the people who had signed up, even under Busy with the Cricky, and I sent out to all of them, giving them the option to get off there if, they didn't want to follow me with Stamping Up. And initially I lost quite a few just through email, but so many stayed that I felt like I did the right thing.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, I think a true crafter, it knows your talent, and they know you're trying to serve them up some great information and inspiration. And they're like, well, we don't care what products you use, right? Then we're going to follow you because you're giving them good stuff, which you always are. You're giving them good information.
Well, it's funny because
All
one of
about.
my Facebook, Busy with the Cricky on Facebook, my business name on Facebook is Busy with the Cricky Productions. And one of my vocal followers, I finally just decided to say, how do I know you? Where have I met you? Did I meet you at blah, blah, blah? And she said, oh no, I have followed you since you were, doing Cricut things way back in the day. And
That's
she stayed
wonderful.
with me, and she's still really encouraging. And yeah,
Well, I love that. So when you joined in 2019, and I know at first you were probably like, oh, let's get a discount. Like I know that's the way I was. And so what was your turning point from making it you know, from a hobby, from turning it from a hobby into a jobby?
my
Like we both
friends,
are now, because we both are Silver Elite, which means just so listeners understand, like that's the
yes, but
leadership level, like less than a percent of people, less than a percent of
one of us is way
administration.
more
Yeah,
jobby
I'm
at
at the same
than you
level
are.
you are, girl. I'm a Silver Elite as well. So
Yes, but
we'll change it this year,
I'm
hopefully.
not earning incentive trips and things. So I'm
Not
trying.
yet. Just say let's not say let's not
Not
yet. You're
yet.
not earning them yet, but you will be.
I'm beginning to eye the what do I call that? The formula.
Disney, the Disney.
Oh, I would love that because our family are Disney freaks. All right. So what I did was it was my friends. It was. I started doing this and I told my friends. And so I decided, and I came in at a strange time. What happened is my mother passed away in February. She had had Alzheimer's and lived with us for 5 years. And I was just kind of not sure what to do. I knew I didn't want to go back to work full time at that point. And I had built some doll houses while she was really not doing well because my craft room's in the back of the house and I needed to be out with her. I could not be back in the back of the house and watch her. So I was doing a lot of things in the dining room. We used my craft room so little that after she passed away and I started cleaning out because every time we didn't know what to do with something, we'd stick it in the craft room. So when I was cleaning it out, I got it all cleaned out and the door was open one day. And my granddaughter, who was born in 2015, so she was about 4, she comes over and she stops in front of it and she looks in and she goes, Grandma, your house has a room I've never seen.
That's cute. That's so cute. I love kids just say it like it is.
And she was so funny, but she was right. She had never seen or, hadn't seen this room. By the way, she will be 9 in January and she is still fascinated with this room.
Well, who
She
wouldn't
likes,
be? I mean, my nieces and nephews go crazy when they come in my she shed, and they
oh,
just
I know. And
absolutely love it.
she wants to look for anything on the floor that I may have dropped, like little stars or whatever. So her big thing is to find what I consider my trash, and she wants to craft with it. And I
Hey,
just
that's
encourage her to
wonderful.
go for it.
Snowflake here and a star
Yep,
there, like a Santa
that's
hat.
my
Yeah.
girl. And my girl is very crafty and she loves craft items. Anyway, that's how I made my friends wanted me to do a class for them. So I joined, and then we almost immediately got a new catalog. And I kept hearing about these catalog launches. And I was like, well, okay, I'll do that and I'll invite my friends. And so I figured out what they were going to do and what we were going to make. And I made displays of the new things. And I had sales. And I met my minimum sales. And I was like, wow, I don't have to do this all myself. And so that's how it went from hobby to jobby. And
Right. I encourage anybody that wants to start that in any kind of direct sales or anything you want to sell, just invite people over. There's not enough people doing that. You are one of the people still doing a lot of in-person events, and I
right,
will kind of talk about that next. But I really want to encourage people are lonely. There's a loneliness epidemic right now,
there is.
and people want to get together. And you might think, I don't really know anybody. That's how you get to know people. Like that's the point. Like you meet one, invite one person over at a time. That's how I do my thing. I don't really have. I'm
Hey,
a
it
more
also keeps
virtual
my
person, but I invite one person at a time over,
right.
and they love it.
Also keeps my house clean because I don't want to invite them over if my house isn't clean.
There you go. It's a reason to clean.
A reason to clean. Um, anyway, it kind of grew from there. During COVID, when we weren't getting together, I took some training on doing online things. And so I was reaching the same people, but I was reaching them online. And that kept me in business through that time period. And as soon as we could meet again, they were all thrilled to meet again. I actually did my craft show during COVID, but we had to have the plexiglass shields at checkout. We all had to mask. I was a little nervous about it, but I did it anyway. I didn't have quite the sales I'd had in the past, but the sales were still really good. And the show didn't close, which
I'm
surprised
so
me.
happy to hear that the show must go on. I'm glad to hear that all these years.
It did. The show went on through all of it, and I've done it through all the different phases. And what I love now is they always put me in the same place, so people even know where to find me, which is
Well,
really
that's
nice.
great. So the craft fairs are a way of generating leads, and then do some of those come to your classes, or do you have
Yeah,
other ways of getting people to
the
come to your
craft
classes?
fair is twofold for me. One, it's sales and Christmas money. And right now we have a January to April new catalog coming out. And so I can use all of that to purchase my my samples that I'm going to be making things with or doing classes with or whatever. I can purchase all my supplies from my craft fair money, so I'm reinvesting in myself.
Nice. Grow
And
your business.
then
Awesome.
the other equally important aspect of that is reaching new customers or reaching people who are looking for something to fill their time in their life. So what I do is I take catalogs and I take both. I take the mini, looking for it. Here we go. Look, it's on my desk.
Mine's somewhere.
All right, so I take a
Yeah,
ton
the
of
free
these.
shipping today, guys. Yep.
Yeah, free shipping. And there's a lot of until it's gone opportunities in this holiday catalog. Um, anyway, I had a team member who had thought she was ordering 4 catalogs and she ordered 4 sets of them. So I had the ones I had ordered plus the ones that she ordered, and I just put them on my checkout stand and let people take those. But as they would,
Oh, yes, because it's the end of the yeah, the end of the year she was 4 8 packs. She ordered
yeah,
four eight
she
packs.
didn't mean to get that many, and I'd already gotten like 3 of my own, so I had a lot of catalogs. So I'd let anybody who wanted one take one. But I also have, and they're of course not in here, but I have an interest form, and it's 8.5 by 11 sheet cut in half, and asks, name, address, phone number. Do you prefer texting? Would you like to be on my email list? Yeah, may I have your permission to put you to send you my newsletter? And then at the bottom, it's different levels of interest in different aspects of my business. Would you like to receive the newsletter? Would you like to know what my upcoming classes are? Would you be interested in attending my monthly club or being part of my monthly club? Would you be interested in, becoming a demonstrator? And once in a blue moon, somebody will give that a 10. And I'm like, whoa. But lots of people are interested in what's going on. Normally, and I didn't do it this year because we've already said I was way behind. Normally, I also take a form that offers it's the information on my next 3 months, where I will be doing classes, what those classes are, how much they cost, how to reach me to RSVP, and what the RSVP deadlines are. But I normally
Right.
know what the next 3 months are going to look like. I have a stamping cruise coming up in March. So, and it's my first one. So I
Okay,
don't have,
tell us listeners about this in case they want to go on your stamping cruise.
okay.
You know where
Um,
I'll be at that time, but yeah, you
yes.
tell them about that because some
Okay, well, I was just going to tell you that normally I have this all prepared out, but I don't. So my
right.
stamping cruise, 2024 is the last year that Carnival is going to be sailing out of Charleston, South Carolina. So I decided to do the stamping cruise to introduce the idea of a stamping cruise to my customers and my team. And while we can drive 3 hours to Charleston or 2.5 hours to Charleston and sail from there. Next year, they already know they're going to have to go all the way to Cape Canaveral and we will sail from there.
But still,
But
the fact that you can go just a few hours away on a cruise,
exactly.
your
But
peaks. I mean, how fun is that going to be for you guys?
right. And we're doing it as a group. So um, Carnival gave me the opportunity, based on the number of cabins that were booked, to give them each something. Like I could have done a big cocktail kickoff party, or there were several different options. But what I decided was I wanted them to have something to take home with them. And when you go on a cruise, how nice their robes are that they have in
Oh,
the room?
yes.
I
Nice.
love those robes. Well, each of my people gets a robe of their own to take home.
A carnival in, does it have carnival on it?
It has Carnival
That's a
on it.
pretty epic gift.
It's a nice little souvenir to take home. Yeah. And we're going to do 5 classes. It's a 5-day cruise. We're going to Half Moon Cay and to Nassau in the Bahamas.
Nice.
And then the other 3 days are at sea. We're going to do a class a day, or maybe 2 classes one day, and give them on the day at sea day, not do anything.
I can't wait to see how much you packed for that cruise.
That's going to be intense. Going to be intense. But anyway, I'm really excited. We have a group number. Sadly, the cost has gone up because people, when they booked into it, I got a really nice rate. for so many cabins. Well, all of our cabins filled up. I had more people sign up than I thought I would. We currently have 20 people going on this.
That's wonderful. So others can still sign up, but it's going to
It's
cost a
going to
little
be
more.
more expensive.
But they'll
And
contact you if they're interested in that.
right. And I will be doing another one next year because this has gone so well. Ironically, my college roommate is going to be my roommate on this, and Mary stamps a little bit and she does a little crafting. She wants to do more than she does. So she's like, "You'll get me through this. I'll help you do this, but you're going to have to get me through this." And I told her not to worry. She will not be the only one learning as she goes.
This just warms my heart. You're really good at having events, and I know this is going to be like really successful for you because you
I'm at
put
the
your heart
point
and soul into
now.
your events and make some awesome projects.
Yeah, I'm at the point now where I'm planning what they're going to make, and I'm also planning what our team calls Circes, their little gifts. We also call those pillow gifts or table gifts, and I want them to have something from me each day, so I'm planning those as well.
And let's
And
tell people how we know each other, and that reminds me of the person how we met. How do we
how
know?
we met through the
Through
Beehive.
the Cersei Queen herself.
Yes, the Circe Queen herself. We are both members of Hattie Nelson's Beehive. She is our upline.
So we are
And
Stampin' Sisters,
we
Susan and I.
are. We
We
are. We're
met
stamping
through that.
sisters, and I love that. And Kim was my roommate at On Stage in Jacksonville. And we got this reputation of being the party room.
We did have the party room.
And
We
I
even
don't
we
know
even got
why.
told we were making too much noise.
We were just we were just
No,
acting like ourselves.
no, that was just a joke, but that was funny. I mean, that was Linda's husband, and we had a blast in Jacksonville.
We
And you
did.
came to my house. My mom was asking me about you.
Oh,
I
her
told her
mom.
I was telling you I was interviewing you, and because we were up late crafting, and mom was coming in like, "What are you guys doing?" We're still making our swaps for our Jacksonville event, even though the event is tomorrow. We are all up in the middle of the night with Kathy, you and Kathy and I, correct?
Okay, Kim's mother is 92.
Yeah, 90. Yeah, gonna be 92. She's 91. Yeah.
Yeah, and she is amazing. She did all the cooking while I was there. She showed me all the sewing she does. The woman is unbelievable. She's more flexible than I am. And she's just amazing.
Yeah, she really is. She really is.
She really is. Is she more flexible than you are?
Oh, absolutely. I can't do a split. She can still do a split. Like she was
I know. I
a
just,
baton twirler and a majorette, so she can still do all these flexible things. And she can not just touch her toes, but like touch her hands to the floor, like
right,
flat while she's touching her toes. So she's very flexible and very and she's sitting there sewing right now. She has an order for some princess and unicorn and mermaid type of bags and aprons for little girls for our friends, uh, great nieces that I have to get out soon because they're Christmas presents. Yeah, she's in there
right.
sewing. She
She's
sews all the time.
amazing. She's absolutely amazing. And I loved meeting her. And I hope to get to see her again sometime because I just loved her. And we had this thing I used to do doll clothes back when my daughter was younger. So we could
That's
compare.
Yeah, that's what she makes a lot of too. So yeah, so we know each other from there, and then we went to those. We had some mastermind groups on Zoom where we were like doing sort of accountability check-ins, and it was nice because all of us were silver at the time, and all of us became everybody in that group became silver elite.
Hmm.
Like so, it really does work having accountability and having like a group of people that you grow with, and that's pretty cool. So I like that.
Right.
And one of the things you told us about in our group or one of our meetings, you were talking about a special method you had for generating leads in your local community. So you could maybe address that as well for
Right.
those that have a crafty
Is
business.
okay. Aiken is not a metropolis. What Aiken is a melting pot of nuclear industry and in the US because the Department of Energy has a facility here that has about 13,000 employees, but they live in the greater central Savannah River area, each side of the Savannah River. So there's Augusta, Georgia on the other side, and on our side, there's Aiken. And Aiken is not a big town. It's a little town with a big town attitude. So
Right.
there are lots of, okay, this craft show is an Aiken City recreation event, and it pulls in, tons of people. I am usually knocking at about $2,000 in sales.
That's amazing.
when I do this 2-day
I
show.
am so proud of you for
And
just
my highest
doing that
priced
stuff.
items are $7. So I mean, there's a lot, and I have a lot of 2 for $3 things. And so I mean, there's just a lot going on there. It's a great place to raise a family because there are so many activities for children. There's sports activities, there's swimming activities. My camera's being weird. There
It's
are
okay.
oh, there's an art facility here. There's several dance, there's music, etc. Anyway, it's been a great place to raise a family, and now they also are a great place to retire. So I don't see moving anytime soon. Where was I going with this?
Leads for your
Thank
business.
you. Aiken has a ton of clubs. One of them is a group called the Newcomer Club. And I'm sure this started way back when the Savannah River site was being built, and so many new people from all over the country were moving in. And I have lived here for 30 years and finally went to this a couple of years ago, and they're like, oh, no, it doesn't matter if you're new, you're just new to the newcomers. This is a group of all women that meet for lunch once a month, and they have groups that get together for games, for movies, for dining, for lunch, for you name it, they have a group for it. And so I went and did a little talk and talked about my business and the classes, and they immediately wanted to do a class for just them. And a couple of them have since joined my monthly stamp club. And from that group, I met another group, which is the Aiken Ladies Chat Group. And they meet at a little cafe that has a meeting room that they don't charge you for. Well, guess where I have my monthly stamp club now, the live version.
I
At
did not know that. That is like perfect for you. A
yeah,
chat group. I mean, could you get a more perfect club and place for you to go?
I know. And these women are so supportive because many of them have their own small businesses. So when I post something online about upcoming card class, several of them will share that for me, or they give positive feedback. They're wonderful. But that led me not only to customers, but also, to community contacts. I would not have known that I could use that room for free every month. Every
Right.
month. They
That's
actually, last time
amazing.
I was there,
What a
they
gift.
went ahead and booked all of my dates for next year.
Wow. And I know you're a planner, so like that is so great for you to have all your dates
Yeah.
planned.
Now, there's
So now you
also
know which weekends that you can do your craft fair preparation when you're not doing your stamp camp, the stamp club.
exactly, or stamp club. Yes, and the person I do cross the border, I have my Canadian.
Yes, you're Canadian. You can give her a shout out. So
Hey, Bonnie, my Canadian. And I think it's
I love
creating
Bonnie.
creating with Bonnie. Um, for you Canadians watching. Bonnie is amazing and she's full of energy and she's funny and she's so creative. Anyway, we do quarterly stamp camps where I design half the products, she designs half the products, and we go live and do tutorials. We do exactly what we're doing right here. We get on Zoom together and we do it live on our Facebook group, and then we post individual card videos after that.
So just so you listening, the reason they have projects that they each design and go together is because we as Stampin' Up! Demonstrators can't sell to another country.
Or another market.
Another market, another
Yeah, we
market.
are all North America, but
So
Canada is one market and the US is another.
so that way
So
Bonnie's customers can join and
we
then
can
your
use,
customers can join.
yeah, we use the same materials, but I pull in my customers and she pulls in her greater northern customers, and it's fun. It's fun to get together, and we each do
I
full
guess I need a
kits.
Canadian at some point. I don't have a Canadian buddy yet, but do at some point.
Okay, little side story. I went to my first backstage, which is the Silver Elite and Above Leadership Conference in New Orleans. And Hattie, our team leader, said, ladies, you need to be looking for a Canadian, someone that you could
That's
do
so funny.
business with.
I love this.
Everywhere I went, I ran into Canadians. I roomed with someone I did
I
not
love this. This
know.
is hilarious.
And I said, oh, I'm looking for a Canadian. Every time she'd go somewhere, she'd meet Canadians and go, my roommate Susan wants to meet you.
This is so funny.
And
And how'd you settle on Bonnie? How did Bonnie emerge as the person you're going to partner
I was
with for these events?
I
How
was
did
in a
Bonnie emerge?
session and she's handing out candy. And I'm like, ooh, this is foreign candy. We don't have this. And so I look down and she's like two people down. And whoever's next to me goes, my friend Susan's looking for a Canadian. And there we go. So after class, in the meantime, we pass cards, business cards. So we're still listening in our workshop, but I'm looking her up on social media and I'm looking at her designs and I'm like, ooh, I like this woman's designs. Unbeknownst to me, she's doing the same thing. Oh, I like this woman's work. So when the class was over, it was like, we need to get together. We need to work. And it was the two of us talking just like you and I do really fast. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, we're excited. Yeah.
And we were super excited and we teamed up. And since then, we've been doing this quarterly. And I see Bonnie at the annual events, but she came all the way from Calgary, Canada to Little Aiken, South Carolina, and met Kim and went to our 35 for 35 event. She was like,
That's where I met her, and I have a couple of her swaps that I'm still inspired by. And then we hung out at the hotel for our parties, and
yes,
then we met her again in Vegas.
in Vegas, yes,
So
because
Las Vegas was a great event for the leadership group, and I had so met her
I
there.
loved Las Vegas. And what I really liked about it is so different than what everyone else did. We did not actually stay on the strip. We stayed out in Red Rock Canyon. I loved that. You
It
could
was
do
beautiful area. I stayed on the strip, but it was a beautiful area where the event
Oh,
was.
that's right. You did.
Well, with my mom, yeah.
Yeah, but I loved our resort. And I called home and my infamous, trophy hubby, I was like, Doug, we need to come back here and you need to come with me. You would really like this.
Make sure you go up on that sphere. It is so
Oh, I
amazing. It's
know.
an hour ride, and you just get to see the whole city, especially at sunset. You get to see the sunset, and then the lights come on, and it's just
Yeah,
wonderful.
we went to Vegas for our 50th birthdays to
I'm
do
just
the
looking
real
down to
thing.
see if there's anything I didn't ask you. Just don't mind me. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just looking down at my
Oh,
notes
please.
here.
I'm, just jabbering away here. I think trophy hubby wanted to know. No, no, it wasn't. All right. Oh, look at that. Busy with a perky production, says the paper chef mentioned you in a post.
I
Yay!
did. While you were talking, I posted that we were live. I usually post ahead of time with the thumbnail, but we weren't going to actually go live, ladies. We just decided last minute, let's stream this. We were going to just record ourselves, and then we streamed it. So that's
Yeah, we
awesome. And
streamed
then
it, and I've done nothing but babble, and I'm sorry,
no,
but
no, that's what podcasting is. It's like it's just that's just the whole reason for a podcast is to just have fun conversations we're having.
oh, I
I
have
mean,
something
that's the
else.
whole point of a podcast. I mean, I think, in my opinion, but
Right.
I mean, what do I know? I'm new at this. This is episode 10.
Nice. I
I
want
just
to add
think this
something
will help
else
a lot of
about
people.
craft fairs and your setup. Okay, so I've talked about you have things that come in, you think you're going to sell a zillion of something, and you don't, but other things sell. It's really hard to predict sometimes, but I know things like the snowman and the double pouch stand up little Circe,
That's right. Right.
that those things are going to do great. I had some light bulbs that I made tags for, some empty light bulb ornaments that had many M&Ms. Those are always going to do great because they're wonderful stocking stuffers. But I didn't want, when I first started this, to run out and spend $1 million on my setup. So what I did was I rented a table for $10 from the facility, and then my friend loaned me two long tables because I didn't even own any back then. And I bought my ladder market stand thing. I created a checkout booth out of, shelves and shelving we had in our garage. I bought some black and red buffalo check table covers. I bought two of those, and that was year one. Each year, I have added just one item. I mean, the one year I did buy my own tables because I suddenly needed them for classes here because we had outgrown my dining room table. If I have more than six in there, it feels stuffed, even though, we've had a family of 11 eat in there, but we're closer and people need to spread out and craft. So I bought two big folding tables. Well, then I found a small version of my little market stand thing that's tabletop. So that was my purchase one year. Another year, oh, I bought my card sorter thing when those came out. And then this year, I bought one more new market stand thing that's a tabletop version. Um, oh, I know. I bought a little, and I'm not kidding, it was a $40 kit to build a cute little vanity, or not vanity, like a little cabinet, a little wall cabinet. And I use that as part of my display. I make that my spa area. So it gets bath salts and lotions and, etc. But it becomes the lady spa area. And then I put the man soap over there. Um,
Nice.
but I also use that at the 35 for 35 event as part of my tabletop display because it's a way to give yourself shelves and it's visually engaging without overpowering because it's all white, without overpowering everything you have there, but adds it adds height. So because you have these shelves, so it really gives you more table space.
So
Anyway,
what
so
I hear you saying is don't waste money on all kinds of furniture and tables and everything at once to maximize your profit. You keep getting one item a
per
year that's
year.
new, and
And
then you're
next
not
year
trying
I
to spend all the
probably
money wasting your money.
yeah, next year I probably am not going to get anything new because I can't think of anything new I might need now. But it's taken me, 4 or 5 years to get where I am. And the tables I didn't really purchase for this. I purchased those for my house, but I used them. And my friend Michelle Rushing, who is also a Stamping Up demonstrator and
On our
also on
team,
our
yes,
team and also Silver Elite,
yes.
she found this cute little portable pop-up bar that has these wraps that go around it. So it has one that's like a football field if you want to take it for, yeah, for your football tailgating.
Tailgating. Okay, I have to see
But
this.
there's a basic one that's black, and we both use that. This thing breaks down, so it's about this wide and yay long, and it has its own carrying bag. That's my checkout stand now because it's so portable. Oh, and it was under $100 on eBay, or I'm sorry, on Amazon, and it was just easy. So
I like
taking my
this.
time has been really good and not rushing out and getting big things.
A lot of people do that. They're like, I'm gonna go buy a tablecloth and a table and all this. It's like, no, wait till you make some money and then get all those things.
Right.
And you
And
grab
by
this
going
little
with
stand.
the black and red check, I was able to add in another tablecloth when I went with 3 tables. And now for my checkout stand, I just have a runner. So, I've maintained the same look because people now look for that. They look for my black and red checks, and oh, there she is.
And can I ask what the cost is at the fair? Because you already mentioned like about what you're making at the fair.
Yeah, it's
The table cost.
I want to say it's 110,
Now that giant booth
$110.
you had, that's a giant booth.
It was really big. They started off at 10 by 10 and now they're like at least 12 by 12 and it may have been a little bit bigger this year because it wasn't crowded at all. It was really nice.
Mom and I paid 50, but we had two, 10 by 10, but then there are two of them. We had two.
Right. So mine was like 110 that included a table and 2 chairs and it was all, lined off and they do advertising and there's a floor plan that has a number on it and it corresponds with the list of vendors. And I always register as Susan Edwards Stamping Up so they can find me.
Excellent, excellent. Now, one of the things that I like to talk about on this channel is multiple streams of crafty income. So it's not just craft fairs that you do. You also sell crafts and then your stamp camps or stamp clubs and then your quarterly events. Am I missing anything? And then you also have your cruise. I mean, you seem to have multiple sources of crafty income as well.
Right. And then I just do regular, like a monthly birthday card class.
Okay. Nice.
And occasionally I'll do, a get well / sympathy card where they can make it either one, depending on the sentiment they go with, and that kind of thing. So yeah, I do just basic 3 card classes. I have my quarterly stamp camp. I have a monthly stamp club. and there are always incentives built in with that. The stamp club I really like. I like the way it works. I design 4 cards or 3 cards and a 3D item using one Stampin' Up bundle of stamps and dies or stamps and punch, and possibly, the paper that matches that if there is, and if not, I coordinate something with it. We meet at the cafe that I talked about earlier, and they will make 2 of each project I have designed. So in the morning, we meet at 10 and they will make cards 1 and 2, which is 4 cards completed. And then we stop and everybody purchases their own lunch and we visit a little bit and we have lunch. So we've kind of become friends. And then after lunch, we do cards 3 and 4. So they make 4 more cards. They also go home with designer series paper or embellishments. And one time we did little boxes and I don't see them, or I would pull them out and show you the kind of little boxes I'm talking about. And I always give them, as part of their kit, that product to take home with them so they can continue this at home.
Well,
And
this is wonderful. That sounds like a fun event.
if they order the bundle from me when they purchase, when they RSVP for the class, I will pay the shipping and the tax on their purchase. It's their little break because they're paying for the monthly stamp club. But I really like that setup, and it works really well for me.
Well, that's great. So I'm going to give a shout out to, okay, so Sherry Wilker is asking about pictures of your setup. And so we're going to leave in the show notes, we're going to have a link to your Facebook page.
And I'll put some actual photos.
Right. And then you can also hear, or, see how you're set up. Like they can watch that video that you went live. Right.
I have 2 videos that went live. One was, the first day at noon, because we hit the ground running. And so I didn't get to do a first thing Friday morning video. And I had already sold out of some things by that point, noon on Friday. It was crazy. And then I did one an hour and a half before the show ended, and you can see the difference.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. And then I have a Canadian asking about Bonnie. Tina Morris is asking about Bonnie, how to find Bonnie.
Bonnie is Bonnie, Bonnie, Sanche.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure it's Creates with Bonnie.
Okay, so
But
Tina can find her. Well, we'll link that in the show note. Well,
we
I'll
will.
just write back to you on the comments is what I'm going to write.
Yeah, we'll get her information back to you because Bonnie
Yeah.
is amazing.
And then we have, okay, so Christina Fullen's here. Thank you. Linda's talking about the fun she had during the hurricane. I think that's sarcasm, right? Scalaro is here from New York. Leanne Kay from Indiana. Ali Rob. Yeah, and yeah, we have lots of people joining in. So we are definitely streaming. So I want to ask you, let's change to kind of the photography, because one of the things I love about your crafts, okay, they're 3D crafts and your cards, your beautiful crafts, is how you photograph and then share them. So maybe a few photography tips for those that want to take photos of their crafts and share them on a blog or on a website. Can you give some tips for that?
Okay, a lot of people use natural light. Forgive me for pulling this down. I use this, and this is a Cricut product, and it is a natural, it's like a, what are they called? It's a natural light.
Daylight.
Yeah, there's a name for that, and it's just not coming to me.
Daylight? No.
But it's this really nice light, and I can change the settings on it and whatever, but I use this over my craft desk because it's wonderful. So when I go to photograph something, I used to play with the window and get the light all right because there is a window right there. You can tell by the glare of my glasses. But now what I do is I take 12 by 12. This isn't 12 by 12. Basic white cardstock. And I will set this up like it's a photo table. And so I have a backdrop of white and a floor base of white like this. or a desktop of white. I sit my products here
Okay.
and I position the light over top, but around the front and angled in. So I'm lighting not just the top, but the front also. And I do this with my cards as well. And sometimes I will pull that all the way down and around, but I don't want to get harsh shadows. So I position the light. I just use my iPhone
Yeah,
to
that's great.
photograph.
But it's really about the lighting, isn't it? And it's like
It's
you're using
about the
your iPhone,
lighting.
which has a great lens on it too, but it's about the lighting.
It's about the lighting and getting that just right. And then I've been asked if I use, fabulous software to edit. I don't. I use just the iPhone to edit, and I will crop them into a square, and I sometimes might make them a little brighter, just a little bit, but I use the stuff that comes on the phone. I will transfer them over into a program and add my name to them.
Right. Do your watermarking.
I'm
Excellent.
watermarking, but that's all I'm really doing outside of that. Sometimes if I want it to have like a marble background or something, I might change the background. But overall, I just kind of do this white, or I have what's it called? Like I have a sheet that looks like marble. It's just a background
Right, like
sheet.
a fake background, like a
Yep, and I have another
vinyl
one
on the
that looks
table.
like white wood, and I will use those too. If I'm doing cards, I used to always stand them up, but now I lay them down, but I will put a block, a stamp block underneath to give it a little dimension so it's up off the table. And that was a tip straight from Cindy Schuster, who is a designer at Stamping Up. And she said that's how she photographs her things.
Excellent. So maybe sometime I'll have you come on my Grow Your Crafty business group and show this, like physically
Yeah.
show this, because we can all
I
benefit
used to
from
have,
photography.
listen,
Really
I
good.
used to
They're
have the
really good photos.
umbrella lights and the whole thing going. And I used like a science fair backdrop that I had my big vinyl sheets on. And I find the white, and the good light made that much easier.
Excellent. Excellent. So my one of my former guests, not the last one, who is Becky from Guam, but another guest asked a really interesting question, and maybe you can give an answer for this one and think of something for a future guest. But she said, what scary inspired action did you take that at the time was really scary that you're really happy that you took now? That now looking back, you really were happy you took that action. What scary inspired action? It can be for your business or it can be personal.
Hmm.
Something
I,
that scared you and you did it anyway.
I think in the beginning, doing that craft show, I knew I
Yeah.
was investing a lot of time in getting ready. They wanted a picture on my booth, and I'm like, I have no booth. I've never done this. So I created a floor sketch, a
Good for
floor
you.
plan, and I took a picture of a covered table in my living room, mind you, and my little market stand. And I said, this is roughly what I'm going to do, I hope, if I'm selected.
Good for you.
And it was scary because I had to start making before I received confirmation that I was in. And I'm like, what am I going to do with all this stuff but yeah, anyway, that was scary, but it was fun.
Well,
Um,
good. Good for you. I'm glad you did it because now it seems like it's just a great funnel for your business. And we
it
talk about
is.
funnels on this channel, just things that bring people into your business at the beginning, and then they become, customers of the craft fair.
I'm not
They
going to
go on your
lie.
cruise, they go on your stamp club, or just making new friends. It's all good.
Right. And I'm not going to lie. It's a lot of work and it's exhausting, but it puts the fun in funnel.
Yes, it does. Well, good for you. Do you have any questions that you want me to ask my next guest? And if you don't think of them now, you can always let me know.
Oh, I would like to know what they think was their most worthwhile um, investment of time
Okay.
in their business or in their personal life or whatever. See, for me personally, my most rewarding investment has been my children, who are now my adult children. But I stayed home for a number of years while they were going through elementary school. And I was able to be that at-home mom who went on field trips and did the room mom thing and whatever. And then when the youngest child was in 5th grade, I went back to work. And that was also a really good time to do that because there's a 5-year difference between number 1 and number 3. And so,
Well, a lot of mothers are relating right now. When I ask my mom what she's most proud of, because I'm always trying to get philosophical with her now. She's not real warm and fuzzy in those kind of deep conversations. So I always have to say, like, what's on your bucket list? Or what are you most proud of? And I ask her questions like that. And she's always says her children. She's like, I'm so proud, my most like her legacy, like that her children turned out the way they did. That's what she's most proud
yep.
of. I tear up thinking about it because like, and this is what you're saying. You're most because you put that time in, that's why they are the way they are. And like one of the reasons. And so that's really nice.
And I just think they're extraordinary, really good people. My older 2 children are teachers, and both
I'm gonna
have
check if there any
received several awards for their teaching.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, Bethany is this year's Teacher of the Year. They both have received something in the CSRA called the Golden Apple Teacher Award. Aaron has been voted favorite teacher at 2 of the schools he has taught at. And Aaron's the one who moved away.
Right.
And what I love about
We're
Ian,
not holding a grudge that you moved
no,
away
no,
from
no,
your mama and grandmother, but
I'm not going to keep dragging that up. The worst part was they
no, I'm just
insisted on taking the children. Um, and my youngest child, Ian, went to college in Atlanta and stayed there for 10 years afterwards and, you know, really liked Atlanta. But when COVID was coming, he came home. And I thought that was great because he was sharing a house with friends. And I'm like, dude, you're never going to be able to not get this. And what I've always admired the most about him is he's a really kind person. And I always said he was the family moral compass. He would tell us what was right and what was wrong. And if one of his siblings was going to do something he thought was reprehensible, he would just tell them, you just can't do that.
hey, that's good. Good morals, right? Good conscience. This is all we can hope for. So I want to just sum up our conversation. And I do, really appreciate this. This has been so fascinating. I get to know you, even though I already know you and I've known you for years. I've learned many things in this conversation.
Guys, I remember the first
That's
time I got
wonderful.
to meet Kim in person. She was in Sumter at an event, and Sumter's a couple hours for me, but it's more than that for her. She was home
Right. The retreat.
from Guam. Is
I
that what?
was either home from Guam or one of the countries that I was
Okay,
living in.
and I was
Korea, Guam at the time.
so
Yeah.
excited. I get there, and it's the infamous Kim. And, she does the weekly updates. It's Kim, and I was so excited to meet her in person.
I think I got voluntold to do a display too or something, or one of the
Well,
one of
it's
the
really
things I
funny
did.
because Jenny, another one of our stamping sisters, her team is like that. Kim's gonna be there.
Oh, that's so sweet. We have Jenny, Keisha, Michelle, you. I'm trying to make sure we give a shout out to all our Silver Elites on our
I think
team.
that's it. You,
Yeah,
me,
5 of us, right?
yeah,
And honorary Lisa will be honorary.
right. And we keep pushing Lisa to try and
We
get there, but
we invite her to our meetings. All
yep.
right, so cool. So now I'm going to summarize. So today I have been interviewing and discussing uh, all kinds of selling tips and making and selling craft tips with Susan Edwards from Busy with the Cricky. And all of her information will be in the show notes. We talked about craft fair bestsellers, craft fair preparation, craft fair setup and checkout, and all the extra benefits of going to craft fairs. Of course, generating leads, meeting people, and having a lot of fun social experience. And there's other ways of generating leads as well. And she discussed that newcomers group and other events happening in her community. She's very involved in her local community. She talked about having events at her house and fun little rooms that she's found, free places to have events. That helps maximize your profit when you find those places. And you're not going to find them unless you start getting out there into your community and talking to people, because those things will just spring up. It's like you're a magnet for these things once you start saying you're looking for these things. She talked about her cruise that she's doing with Carnival, the Crafty cruise, and everyone's going to get a nice fuzzy bathrobe and how much fun that's going to be. And lastly, we asked her about her photo tips and she explained her setup, and we'll try to get some pictures of that setup because her photos and her backgrounds are really epic. And you're going to see her on the artist and design team someday. I know you are. because her crafts are fantastic.
That's
I really
I don't know.
appreciate you coming on today and taking the time to discuss your crafty business with us. And I know in 1 year we'll be back here and you'll be talking about the incentive trip that you earned.
That's
That's the
sweet.
goal.
I need a few more team members before I'm going to be able to do the incentive trip, but boy, I really want to do it.
Well, and during celebration is the time coming up. So
That's
that's
it.
when you're going to get some.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have an awesome um, gift with a starter kit during celebration, which will start in January. I am
And
very
I'm going to
excited
show
about
that
it.
in my unboxing because they're going to be like,
I just got my sample yesterday,
so yeah. So that
and
is
I
going to be
just
an
love it.
epic moment. And what's that, January 4th? Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm super excited about
yeah,
this
that's
item.
going to be exciting. It's a 2 month celebration from January 4th to the end of, we got a leap year. So we got an extra day,
Ooh, it
right?
goes till the end of
February
February,
29th.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. And those of you that want to follow this podcast and see all the other episodes, the other first 9 episodes, just go to hellocraftyfriends.com. And there you're going to get all the recordings from past episodes. You're going to be able to subscribe on Spotify, Apple, and other platforms. And you're going to be able to join the Grow Your Crafty Business group where we do weekly accountability check-ins. And I discuss lots of different topics that'll help you grow your crafty business of any kind, whether it's physical products or virtual
Yeah,
businesses.
because she is the queen of growing the business, let me tell you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I'm just explaining what I've done is all I do in that group. Just life lessons, really. It's like that's how you don't learn until you do it. So let's get out there and do it. I mean,
Let's just do
it's a
it.
business that helps people in so many ways, as you can imagine. And so it's very fulfilling as well. All right, so that's all for now. This is the Paper Chef and Busy with the Cookie.
Busy with
And
the
we
cookie.
saying goodbye.
Bye. Thanks, Kim.